Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You are welcome to CTY online education program for this third term. The first topic for the third week. The topic of our discussion is environmental problems. What are environmental problems? These can be defined as any natural or human-induced incident which poses a serious problem to the lives and properties of people in the environment. Environmental problems can also be defined as any disaster caused by nature or man which poses a serious danger or risk to lives and properties of people in the environment. These are soil erosion, coastal erosion, environmental pollution, volcanic eruption, drought, earthquake, flooding, oil spillage, typhoon, hurricanes, blizzards, tornadoes, mass wasting, deforestation, gas flaring, desert encroachment, mining, lightning, etc. Now let's start with soil erosion. What is soil erosion? Soil erosion is the removal of topsoil by the action of water, wind, and ice. Causes of soil erosion: number 1, deforestation, bush burning, overgrazing, cultivation along the slope, excess rainfall or wind, shifting cultivation, population pressure on land, mining and mineral consumption, absence of vegetation cover. What are the effects of erosion? Number 1, it causes the removal of top fertile soil meant for crop production. It causes loss of farmland. It causes the loss of lives and properties. It leads to damage of roads and railway lines. It leads to the development of bad land. It creates environmental imbalance. It can pollute our drinking water. What are the control of erosion? Number 1, cultivation across the slope, control grazing, afforestation, reforestation, cover cropping, terracing, that is method of cut step to reduce speed of water, improved farming method, legislation against felling of trees, creation of shelter beds, public enlightenment against erosion. Desert encroachment. This is the extension of deserts to where there are originally not desert areas. Desert-prone areas in Nigeria include the Sahara region of Nigeria, Borno, Maiduguri, and Sokoto area, the northeastern part of Nigeria. What are the causes of desert encroachment? Number 1, overgrazing, climate change, bush burning, high speed of winds, deforestation, prolonged droughts, over cultivation. What are the effects of desert encroachment? Number 1, loss of pasture or livestock resulting in hot and dust environment. Number 2, loss of vegetation. Number 3, it brings about famine and hunger. It leads to loss of animals and human life. It exposes the soil to wind erosion, loss of agricultural lands. It leads to the shortage of water for animal and human consumption. What are the control of desert encroachment? Number 1, afforestation. Number 2, irrigation. Number 3, creation of shelter beds. Number 4, cover cropping. Number 5, rotational grazing. Number 5, irrigation against bush burning. Number 6, controlled tree felling. Number environmental education, control use of wood for fuel. Flooding. Flooding. This is the occurrence of excessive volume of water in an area that are not usually waterlogged. Cause of flooding. Number 1, excess rainfall. Number 2, refuse dumping in drainages. Number 3, poor drainage system. Number 4, establishment of settlement along river channels. Number 5, erection of building of houses on watershed on roads. Number 6, breakdown of dams and embankments. What are the effects of flooding? Number 1, it leads to loss of lives and property. It leads to interruption of socio-economic activities. It makes human and vehicular movement difficult. It creates health hazards by way of pollution. It washes away the roads and railways. It leads to diversion of public funds. It creates the need for emergency relief supply. It can spread waterborne diseases. It leads to the destruction of farmlands. It leads to the displacement of people and settlement. What are the solutions or control of flooding? Number one, construction of wider gutter or culverts. Avoid waste dumping in waterways. Proper channelization of flood from the city centers. Forest reserves on strategic watersheds. Public enlightenment on the effect of flooding. Legislation against indiscriminate dumping of waste or refuse and erection of buildings on swampy areas. Construction of dams to serve as water reservoirs. Proper urban planning to avoid urban flooding. Environmental sanitation to drain culverts. Droughts. What are droughts? Droughts can be defined as a state of prolonged or abnormal moisture deficiency and a general state of dryness. It is also referred to as the absence of rainfall, which is enough to cause total dryness in the area. Areas affected by droughts. Number one, Sahara region, Senegal, Gambia, Mali, southern Mauritania, Burkina Faso, northern Ghana, northern Nigeria, and southern Niger Republic. The other areas include desert areas in Nigeria, e.g. the Namibian Desert, the California Desert region, and the Sahara Desert. Cause of droughts. Number one, absence of rainfall. Number two, high rate of evapotranspiration. Number three, low humidity. Number four, low cloud cover. Number five, changes in weather and climate. Number six, high daily temperature without a corresponding rainfall. What are the effects of drought? Number one, drought threatens plant life, which leads to crop failure. Number two, surface streams or rivers may dry up. Number three, it affects human beings and livestock. Number four, it leads to high loss of crops and livestock. It requires the planting of low moisture requirement plants or crops. It may lead to migration of people and animals. It creates problems between farmers and pastoralists. It creates refugee problem. It leads to scarcity of food. It leads to famine. It leads to malnutrition. Control and solution of droughts. Number one, afforestation. Number two, irrigation. Number three, planting of cover crops. Number four, avoidance of overgrazing. Number five, planting of drought-resistant trees or crops. Number six, there should be artificial stimulation of cloud seeding. That is, when we artificially create rainfall. Number seven, creation of green beds or shelter beds. Number eight, there should be improved farming method. Number nine, cutting of trees should be discouraged. It's at this point that we are going to call it a day for today, and we shall meet again next week. Goodbye and God bless. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.